grab your bongs. Not that bong. The other bong. There you go. Grab that. Put some weed in it. Fill it with water. If you don't have a bong, grab a joint. Grab something, all right? Because we're going to smoke real quick. Ooh, that was a big one. And we hold. See, I see this other guy out here. He's smoking a vape. Vape's not as cool. Vapes are gay, and we all know it. But being gay is okay nowadays. So we just tolerate it and we accept it. Speaking of gay people have love, and love is something that I have been thinking about a lot lately. How much I love my girlfriend, how much I love my friends, my family, but also thinking about how I need to give love to this world that I am in. And I'm struggling with coming to terms with it because there's also hate to give. And I don't like to hate. I actually scratch that. Javi would immediately pump the brakes. This dude is the biggest hater I know, which is true. I don't drink the haterade. I create the haterade. I'm just not that big of a fan of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I get it, he's fine, it's whatever. I'm just not a fan of the movies as much as I was with Tobey and Andrew Garfield. I don't care, you know. He's a good Spider-Man, he kind of has all of it, but at the end of the day, in my eyes, he's kind of bland. Zendaya sucks. I'm tired of seeing Zendaya's face in everything, truthfully. Please get her out of my fucking face. Regardless, yeah, I want to spread more love in many different ways. Cleaning the Passaic River. I applied for school again. I'm going back to school. I'm going to be studying surgical technology because eventually I want to learn surgery. I think if I really give a shit, if I'm really about what I say, eventually I need to know how to help people in the most in-depth way possible. You know what I mean? So I don't want to waste any more time saying, I'm gonna take 2 classes, 2 maybe 3 classes per semester, because I am still working full time and trying to work on side project. It's a lot, School adds a big workload and things like that. So I want to take my time with it, but also really absorb the knowledge. And I know basically every medical school has, the way they pace things, or they have an accelerated program of 3 years instead of 4. But I don't know. My goal in this life is just to fix a bunch of this nonsense. And I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again. I just think that the biggest issue that we have, that if we solved, would send a trickle-down effect, kind of like how the economy was supposed to be, but isn't. A trickle-down effect of things getting fixed. And I think humans need to learn how to share. Plain and simple. I think if humanity doesn't learn how to share, it's going to be the death of us all. I don't know how much more you can break it down from we are inept to sharing for whatever fucking reason, because we draw lines in the sand and we're like, this is ours, stay away, you have cooties. The rules of the playground also apply to everyday life to a certain degree. Most people never grow up. They are kids in adult, aging, and sickly, deathly bodies. And how do you fix that? How do you help that? I want to know how to help that. I think this is why hate is in the world, because purpose is something that, Jesus Christ, if you lose all concept of that, the world just falls into this blandness. It's very scary. You know what I mean? You don't know how to feel from there. But, we need this hate in order to have this love. And something that my friend was bringing up to me was, he feels like dude, we might be in the end of times. And I give ear to things like that because I don't necessarily disagree with something like that. And I say it that way because I can never for sure say what is true. We're kind of just living day to day, no matter what. We're all living day to day. Even today, yeah, basically. Even the ruling class, the monarchy, the empire, even they don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow, and we're all trying to basically find this superpower, or at least create it in the form of AI, of being able to tell the future and dictating events because everybody's afraid of dying. Those are two big problems we have. Dying and not knowing how to share. So, how do we get people more on board with learning how to fucking share? You know? It's very easy to be selfish. It's very easy to be a monster in a world full of monsters. It's very hard to be human in a world full of monsters. I take that from a certain show. But The Boys, actually. If you want to know where it's from The Boys. And I would definitely give that show a watch. It's been very refreshing to have a show like that. To have that be made right now. It's like the gore, everything. I've been watching so much gory stuff that you really do forget that that's what reality kind of looks like sometimes. And this friend of mine has to see that because of the job that he does. He sees what people look like in their most mutilated states, in a state where they are panicking. And he tells me that he doesn't feel like he saves anybody, but I also have to be there to remind him that when you are, I know you might not feel like that all the time or anytime, but please understand that if you need flowers, I'll give you your flowers, bro. Because it's a really beautiful and amazing thing that you are doing. Because you understand just as well as anyone how scary death is. Anybody can act tough, can be tough. But we're all afraid of the same thing. Even God is afraid of death. You know, which leads to the question, what is death afraid of? But I'll talk about that at a different time. Yeah, how do we fix that? How much do we really care for the people next to us? Holy hell, I don't want to be put in a position where I see somebody's arm cut off or something or whatever's going on and I don't know what to do. I need to know what to do. I feel like everybody just wants to know what to do. It's good to know things. It's nice to know things. It makes you feel confident, you know? It's when people act cocky that they need to be humbled, but isn't that also a beautiful part of life? Isn't that also what keeps it interesting? It's very nice to see people get knocked off their high horse. You might have been that person who was on a high horse. I was that person on a high horse, you know? Everybody likes riding the high horse. But sometimes you got to take the donkey. Sometimes you got to go out there and move when the mule moves. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a southern, what is it called? Proverb. Yes, it sounds like a southern proverb. But for real though, I think we all need to learn how to share, and I think we all need to give a shit enough to not be okay with so many people dying and allowing these really horrible things to keep happening. We all know there's a human trafficking thing going on. We all know that people are cutting down the Amazon rainforest. We all know there's pedophiles in office. We all know everything. Jesus Christ, we are playing a big game of play pretend. So, and we all do it because we realize that if we actually speak out against something like this, you might die. Land of the free, home of the brave, free speech for all, bullet in the head. You know? It's just that it doesn't make sense to me that this is that weird route that we're going to. And personally speaking, when I notice these things, it makes it harder and harder to live each and every single day knowing that you're really not changing that. And that's how I feel. And I don't know if that's how anybody else feels, but it's how I feel. And I don't want to keep feeling like that. I like it when we can all live in peace, when we can share our talents with each other. I have a beautiful bakery in my town called Jankarelli's. And, the owners, the people who work there, every single one of them, amazing, beautiful person. And I taste it in what they make. I can feel the love that's in there. And they just moved into a new spot that I believe the owner built, and now it's also a deli, and they make sandwiches, and they have deli meat, like all this stuff, and it's amazing. It's at the very edge of town now, which I kind of dislike because it used to be on my side, damn it. It was so close. It was walking distance. And I have a new bakery next to me, but I love Jenks. They know how to make it there. If you want some damn good pastries, if you want some damn good bread, check out Jankarelli's in Wayne, New Jersey. So I love that they share that love, that form of love, that way of creating love with me. Yes, I have to give them money. You know what I mean? And I don't believe money is the root of all evil. I just think it's a form of data transfer. And I think we need to go back to a time where data transfer could be anything that is deemed suitable. Having only one thing that constitutes data transfer in the physical world makes absolutely no sense. We all need to kind of get back on board with bartering, or here's a gold coin. You know how much gold is worth? Here's a gold coin, but you don't want to part with it because you know how much it's worth. And then people start hoarding it because there's these artificial, droughts and lack of supplies. And we all know that as well. We all know that's real. Even the most deluded of us. If you sat them down and you're like, hey, dude, look at me. Enough with the bullshit. No, sir. I know. Yeah, you laugh crazy. Seriously, do you see what's going on? Yeah, you do. Okay, cool. Can we fix that? Like, we kind of need you. I'm being very serious here. We need you because we can't get to the good ending if everybody's not on board. And that's the thing about the good side. They don't want to kill. They refuse to. They you know what I mean? They don't want to do that. And I completely understand it. And I don't believe in it. And I don't think that we should. I think we communicate for a reason. I think we can all talk for a reason. So while fighting with our fists and demanding that the reality you live in is what you deem it to be, you have to kill this person to make, I don't want to, I will never do it. I would never do it. That is too precious. Life is so precious. I can't even say you need to give people a chance. But you want to know something? I think that it's kind of difficult for me to explain, but it's also that I don't want to spoil the story as to what is life and what comes after this. But I'm not even done with it, but there's only been one other story that has done something even close to this to me, and Land of the Lustrous has really it completely changed my reality in such a way that it's not like, whoa, I think differently because I believe in this superficial societal kind of thing, or maybe I'm more in tune with God. No. This thing has fucked me up. This thing has destroyed me, has sent me into psychosis. I've had panic attacks before reading this thing and during reading this thing, especially this one thing inside of it. There's a lot of things, don't get me wrong, but there's this one thing in particular that I couldn't handle it. I was actually starting to lose it. And it's not that I didn't know this, but I have never seen a more accurate depiction of what life probably is. And if you've ever seen it before, again, I like to say nothing about it. You have no idea what this is about. And I don't even want to describe it because I think it's amazing when you can go in completely blind to something. I hate talking spoilers. Sometimes I'll talk to Javi about it, but I hate it unless we've both consumed this media, or me and that person talking have consumed it. But all I will say is that the feeling, like what it has done for me is, I mean, I don't even have a word. I was going to say definitely irreplaceable. But see, this is why I want to create new words. Shakespeare did it. I'm not that fucking different. Why do we revere I get why we revere these people. I get it. We stand on the shoulders of giants. But I think you gotta also open yourself up to not being so fucking serious and go, dude, you don't think that Shakespeare was fucking God? Like, yeah, he wrote these stories, but also, look at things from the perspective of what if you knew him today? Like, who would he be today? Let's be real. That guy probably shit himself one time for whatever reason it may be. But we're all human. When you have these funny things, like they made fun of Kim Jong-un in the interview about he doesn't even have a butthole. He doesn't need to poop because he's so perfect, Yeah, you know what I mean? You can't look at humans as these larger than life titans in a sense. You can and you can't. And I'm not trying to, I know I'm using the word can. I'm not trying to tell you what you can and can't believe. But I'm kind of speaking to me when I say it like that. You can revere, you can't revere. You can look at them as gods, you can't look at them as gods. But it would only really make sense if you understood that God was just a being that is higher than you. Something, not even just like a human with wings now. Like, yes, that still constitutes, because divinity is whatever floats. But at the same time, just having wings doesn't really do it. Like, imagine you had the halo. The halo is the floating light crown that follows you everywhere. Like, that's transcendence, And I don't think transcendence as a concept is really understood, especially mathematically. I think we've put mathematics to the test with a lot of things. I don't know if we've done it with what exactly transcendence is. And in terms of how transcendence would work, theoretically, in terms of math, is that loss transcends to gain. That is also a song on Spotify, if you look that up. I forget who it's done by. Is it by Music Within? I don't know, but loss transcends to gain is a beautiful song that you can find on Spotify, maybe YouTube. I just know of it on Spotify, but go listen to it. How do you create an equation that essentially starts with, I guess, entropy, but then it gets to this level of infinite gain? Like, it only goes up from here when applied like that. Like, how would that work? How does something like that work? Does that even make fucking sense? Am I using the English, language? I was going to say dictation. Does dictation count, or am I not remembering the definition for that? Either way. It's good to create things, even words, even language. Language needs to evolve. You can't have it stay stagnant. Math is a language. We haven't let it stay too stagnant. We've progressed it in a certain direction for a long time, and we have to do that, and we could only do that by sharing. We had to share. It's why things don't really evolve as quote-unquote quickly as they can, should, whatever you want to believe. But we withhold knowledge from each other. There's this thing, actually, I don't want to say the name. There is this archive on the internet that I would recommend accessing through, like, Thor or Brave Incognito, or Firefox, or through Linux, maybe on Apple, definitely not PC. But there is an archive that basically has, I mean, everything. You know, all written things, like all these books that are uploaded as PDFs, like even school books. You can find literally anything on this thing. But it's a secret because, you know, you don't want to draw too much attention to the source that you're using. But you see how fucked up it is to be put in a situation where I know I can't talk about, like, I can't say the name. You know, first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. But I can't say the name of the archive, but I want everybody to have the ability to access it because I believe in free knowledge. I believe in the fact that, you know, if you are going to put something out there, I will pay for things, of course. And I'm not going to feel like, you know, I don't feel like paying for it, so I'm going to steal it. No. If there's a price tag, good person, like, you know, we're helping each other, you know? You have to understand how you're helping versus how you're hurting somebody. And it's such a tricky situation because you have to observe it essentially in the gray. Because if you're sticking by the white or the black, you're either on or off about it. You either agree with it or you disagree with it. And then everything else is happening here in the gray, you know? So how do you share that knowledge that is clearly also stolen? You know what I mean? It is stolen in the sense of you have to pay for it. But now we're also running into the problem of what's a license versus what's ownership. And you see on the internet that nobody owns anything anymore. Slowly but surely, things are rented. Things are borrowed. You're using this because we have it. We've made it so owning things is a hassle for whatever reason. I don't care what you want, like how you feel about it, about that situation. That is what is happening. That is undeniable to every degree. So, how do we fix this thing? How do we fix this thing that it's like we all love a library? And I fucking said this 5 years ago during COVID. I'm like, dude, libraries are about to make a comeback in some form or way. And Barnes & Nobles is opening hundreds of new stores across the country, across the globe. You know what I mean? So, like, we believe in this physical world because we're experiencing this physical world. And you see in this digital world that once you put it in there, it's like nobody owns anything. You could abide by the rules, and it's good to abide by the rules. And we definitely enforce those rules. You know, people love their money. But are we going to continue to live this way? Or are we going to say, okay, people can't own things? You're not buying a license, and this license can expire. Or you actually own it. Like Adobe. Remember that? Remember Adobe? Remember when Photoshop you buy it once, but now you pay a subscription? Remember when everything wasn't a fucking subscription model? You want to know why everybody hates the fact that Netflix is partnering with MAPPA? Is because of the bullshit censorship that has happened on Crunchyroll and Netflix, mostly on Crunchyroll in terms of anime, but now it's going to happen with Netflix, and we all hate it. We do not like this. We have to then go and search in a different country, have a friend there, ask them to record the episode, send it to us, basically stealing, and then we can watch the true version of this. But instead, we're just being force-fed this garbage nonsense because contrary to what people want to fucking believe, it is very easy to censor things in countries. A video that is uploaded can be seen by nobody. It's not even just censorship in the way that a video is going to get taken down. It's censorship in that you don't even know the video exists because the algorithm, the people in charge just aren't even showing it to you. They don't even have to delete it at this point. They just don't even have to show it to you. And if you so happen to find it, who's going to fucking believe you? Who's going to believe you? To this day, my girlfriend talks about the fact that there was a schizophrenia medication commercial on Hulu one time and one time only, in a time where, dude, commercials repeated themselves all the time. They still do on Hulu. But just every fucking 5 seconds, like a casino ad, a medication ad. Like, you know, it's like, dude, who is this? What is this? But regardless, shows up one time only, and then it doesn't show up again. And it's just the ultimate form of gaslighting. Like, it's funny. Gaslighting, instigating is funny. But everybody hates getting fucked with. Everybody likes fucking with someone, watching somebody get fucked with, but don't fuck me, you know? I don't know. I just think that we should all talk. I just think that it's weird that people look back. I made one video on it, and I really do need to make more. But again, you know, you can't talk too outwardly, or people like to make your life harder. It eventually happens. It doesn't matter. It's not something that you can get around. And to those people who would want to make my life hard, for whatever reason, because I'm cleaning a river, because I'm saying, hey, I think this is wrong, and I'm saying it outspokenly, you know? I just, if we can't talk and you're going to resort to this type of violence, at least don't be a fucking pussy and hire somebody to do your dirty work. It is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. No matter what you might think about, all's fair in love and war. Completely. Yeah, sure. And again, I laugh at the fact that if people got in ready stances to get to war from either side of an army when the U.S. was fighting for its independence, you know, if they had to arm at the ready and it was seen as dishonorable if you ran forward with your gun before they said go, before the referee said, yeah, go and do it now, like fucking football. Gladiators, dude. Every single generation. It's fine. It's fine. Bread and circus is cool. It's not cool when you're distracting people with it because you're doing a really horrible thing outside of the arena. And also, you're getting idiots to do your dirty work. You're getting a bunch of fucking retards to go out and do something bad because either you have dirt on them, you have blackmail, you have their families, you just don't pay them enough. Whatever it may be, that is fucking nonsense. But I think actions like this, actions when you get other people to do your dirty work, come from beings, especially on this planet, that are too frail to actually do things themselves. Completely. 100% of the time. Something that has to rely solely on a data transfer such as money, the weakest form of data transfer, money, and have every other strong physical being or even smart beings, physical beings, to go and do their dirty work. They're not Thanos. I would say 100% of the time, it's not gonna be Thanos. That's like, I'm getting all my people to do the work, but if I gotta do it, I knew I could do it. That's not what's happening. We live in a gigantic age of incompetence. Try to think about every meal you've had for the past month. Oh, that's right, unless you wrote it down, human memory is fallible. So, for the people who can remember it, awesome, we need you. You are the people that people are going to look up to in a time where we're chasing truth. And you have to be there to guide these people in the name of truth. But if you can't remember those things, this is a level of incompetence. And we could say it's because we're human, but again, incompetence. And I say incompetence because I think it just makes sense to try to find the ultimate form of accountability. And I think if you just always attribute your mistakes to, well, I'm not fucking smart, I'm mad at myself for not being smart, I'm gonna get smarter, then you're taking accountability. If for whatever reason you might find something to be your fault, in any capacity, that is something within you telling you something, and you should probably listen. It's when we ignore that feeling of like, all right, we're doing you're doing something wrong, and then we do it anyways. You can't be surprised by the cycle that we're in. How do you make somebody notice something they can't notice? I don't fucking know. How do you get people to want to share? It's a great question, Jason. I'm going to do my very best to give, I am going to give more than I take in this world. It's not that I'm even going to have to try. I want it to be as easy as breathing. So maybe I do have to try for a couple of years. But then eventually, it just becomes natural. Maybe that's how other people end up being. How much time do you have to make a mistake? And then do you even have room for forgiveness? You know? It's considered a dangerous thing to humanize what we would deem monsters. A lot of people would look at the Prime Minister of Israel, of America, any generation of Americans besides, like the JFKs and the the people who were assassinated, attempted to be assassinated, that type of stuff, maybe, just maybe, they didn't have complete evil in their heart. But humanizing monsters can kind of get you nowhere in a lot of ways. But is there any other way to be good? Is there any other way to be good besides just having empathy, sympathy, empathy, like whatever you... Pathy. Is that the only way to be a good person, a good entity, whatever you may be? Are you good? Are you bad? I don't know. Sadly, if you do incorporate sharing into this world, well, it might seem like it really would solve everything. And I know I'm kind of about to undo all the work that I'm striving for in terms of why we should share, but I'm just trying to take it a step forward so that people still understand that it's important to share. What if you wanted to share your pain with somebody? What about the people who feel like they've been wronged? That feel like if justice is going to be served, we need to share our feelings. Is that person good or bad? Does that so is sharing not a good thing now? Is it a bad thing? Because if I share too much love with my neighbor's wife, he's gonna start sharing a lot of hate with me in the form of a fist, maybe a gun, maybe a samurai sword, or he just buys a flamethrower from Elon Musk, turns you into beef jerky. What is too much sharing? Hey man, I think that I don't want to say something too bad and get that clipped. When you things out of context. I think the only way to say something extremely horrible is to preface with, okay, now don't take this out of context. And then it's purposely taken out of context. But hey man, okay, God damn it. I won't say his name, and it's a him. I won't say their name, but I had somebody share something with me that I wish they kept to themselves. And one of those things that they shared with me was a thought. That thought was, I heard my sister having sex with her boyfriend yesterday. I got really turned on. That. You know what, man? Keep that one to yourself. Not that I was still friends with him for a little while after that. We're not friends now for different reasons. I know, worse reasons. Can you believe that? But that, keep that to yourself. Unless I put my lab coat on and tell you that I'm playing therapist for the moment, don't just drop that on me. Because he also didn't tell that to me, in a very opportune, moment. Granted, I don't know what is an opportune moment to share something like that. But it definitely wasn't just in high school, walking to my house. Also, again, not even at my house. Didn't want him at my house after that. But on the way to my house, And he says that to me. And, okay, well, here's the thing. I have a sister. I don't know how you're going to look at my sister now, you sick fuck. Now that you said, I don't really want you around female. Like, I don't want you around the females that I know. Like, that you know? I don't know. You gotta know how to treat people. So yeah, sometimes sharing. And you know what? In that sharing, I could blame it on the fact that I was young, but I want to take accountability and say it in this fashion. Well, I make jokes and I laugh at this. I wish I was a better friend to have been able to put my lab coat on in that moment, tell him I am your therapist now, and not prod, there we go. Not prod into these thoughts like, you're fascinating. No, just, okay. Maybe share a personal experience of my own that might lead him to opening up in a certain way. Maybe asking him a different question that still relates and gets him to expand upon what he's talking about, as inappropriate and weird as it may be. This is how people feel. I don't personally get it, but if I decided to be completely ununderstanding of it, then I'm probably just gonna throw that guy in a prison. He didn't do anything wrong yet, but he's fucking gonna. And that's the way it seems to be going. There's a movie called Minority Report. And with all of this being said, and the reason that regardless of anything, I think sharing is important, I think we should always do it when appropriate, is I want to show that there's a compromise to everything, and not always in a negative way, but in a lot of ways in a positive way. Because if something was one way or the other, too much in one direction, you know, there's gonna be that other half that doesn't like it. And the funniest part about life is if you could just get two groups of people to unenjoy something so badly, to hate something so badly, they join together. So does the world need a common enemy to be able to come together? Is that somebody's task? Is somebody's role in this reality, this world, to be, oh my god, this guy's got a Gara bag and it's fucking cool. He's got a Gara sandbag gym bag, you know? Like his what's it called? I was gonna say his gong. His urn. We'll go with urn. It's definitely not urn, but just, you know, his gourd. There we go. His gourd of sand. Fuck yeah. Pat myself on the back there. But yeah, just sharing pain. Ironically, pain. Go watch Naruto. This is just experience. This life is what it is, and if somebody needs to fill the role of common enemy, I'm not saying I'm doing it, by the way. That's I hope that's not how this sounds, but it might be how this sounds. While it might be very entertaining from a personal perspective to fuck with the world and just continue to laugh to myself, eventually you want to share that laughter with someone else. You want to share that happiness with someone else. And in turn, doesn't that create evil? Is love and hate a perpetuating infinite cycle that so long as you exist you can never actually break? Or is it a concept of mindset that if you can break it and never feel that way again, then you live in a whole different reality. You live in a whole different perspective because your flow of thoughts is going to be different. You know? So if everything was, say, metaphysical, how do you kind of visualize that to show everybody's consciousness in different universes? Say you stripped away the physical reality of all of this. Even drawing something and depicting something visually is still just, it's still physical. The visualization of anything makes it physical. So is the afterlife in some regard, is what's in between all of this, the way that consciousness operates, just a big black room where no one can see each other, no one can really feel each other, but we all know we're there, you know? No one's anything, no one's not, like, what are we doing? What is this? I know I digress a lot of the time, but these are just my stream of thoughts. These are my thoughts. So I'll leave it off on this. I've talked for way more time than I thought I was gonna, but just how do we share appropriately? How do we love appropriately? How do we hate appropriately? How do we do everything to where we're causing less and less damage, so that maybe there is an end to this game, and maybe there's a big reset at the very end of it, like a video game, and you get to do it all over again? I don't know. But I think that even living in a false world of be kind to your neighbor, don't share too much with his wife, and, respect things that breathe in any regard. It might be seen as disrespectful to eat something and then shit it out. If somebody ate your brother as a human and then showed you their shit, it's pretty disrespectful. It'd be disrespectful if you did that with regular food in general. But just the process of it, in and of itself, regardless if you see it or not, feels disrespectful. So, how do you bring respect to something like that? Well, I think a good way is maybe eat all the meat that is on your plate. Eat all the food that you were given. I know that might suck a lot of the time, and clearly if it's poison or going to cause you too much harm, yes, understand when to go, you know what, man, for my health, fuck this. You can have this back. I'm not eating this. Or maybe say it nicer than that. Like, I actually ate before this. Or, hey, listen, man, I would eat this, but this is a steaming pile of dog shit. Try to find a medium, because one's funny in some respects, and the other one is like, nah, you're lying to me. So, you don't have to be mean, but you don't gotta lie. So you're like, hey, I'm really not gonna eat this. Or maybe don't even say really, hey, I appreciate the gesture of you making me this food and the time you spent doing it, but I'm really not a fan, and truthfully, understand, you are my friend. If I eat this, I will get food poisoning. So, even then, you know what I mean? Can still be considered rude. So it's like, do you ask a question of like, how did you cook this? Like, you take a bite and you're like, dude, how did you cook this? Maybe not sound like, whoa, it's so good, excited, but like, hey, how did you cook this? Right down the middle, and they'll tell you how they cooked it. And then you start to understand, like, oh, you did that wrong. Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense in my mind. Yeah, no, I see how we got here now. Things weren't done appropriately. How do you then convey that to them? How do you then convey, hey, you're supposed to cook the chicken completely. There's no such thing as medium rare chicken. I'm not going to lie to you, dog. It's a good vet could save this. I cannot eat this. So, how do you find the middle there? And are we just supposed to live walking on eggshells in terms of speech everywhere and anywhere we go? Maybe if we just have this metaphysical way of communicating with each other called intention, we would understand that, listen, I'm going to say things that are going to help you in a very rude but funny way if you decide to see it as funny. Or I'm going to sugarcoat things to you and maybe lie to you like your mother because, she doesn't want to hurt your feelings. That does not apply to Asian moms, though. They tell you how it is, and I respect that. Don't lie to your kids. So, or they're just, they're blunt, whatever way they're going to express it. Can we understand that we can read intention? We know when somebody's being disrespectful. We can feel it. And I think we should be open about that with each other. I think the reason we question ourselves and other people so much is literally because, these two people are clearly from high school. They really do just print the same person every generation. Yeah, I've spent way too much time in here, and now all the high school kids are at the gym. But that's fine. It's okay. I'm still going to work out, but I think this is fucking hilarious. They really do print the same people, every generation. I've seen that guy in like 3 times. I saw him in my brother's classes. I've seen him in my classes. I just saw him now. The same fucking face. Makes you think about things, doesn't it? Regardless, yeah, it's probably time I go to the gym. So, if you guys have any thoughts, I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I am kind of coming to a conclusion. I'm only going to do 100 of these. I'm only going to do 100 of these episodes, and then I'm going to move on to a different titled podcast. I feel like it's good to know when to put things to bed. You know what I mean? And I feel like something like this should live maximum 100 episodes. And maybe there's a revival. Or maybe I unisonus it, and, you know, now you people never get it again. These were my thoughts. I want my thoughts. These are my thoughts. So, what are your thoughts? And I'll keep telling you what my thoughts are. Okay? Goodbye, everybody.